Aren't in super great shape, so kind of take what you can from it. Okay, so we talked about on Tuesday there are three layers or tunics to the eye, right? So we've got the this one here. What's this one called? You guys remember that from Tuesday? So this is called the sclera. So the white part of the eye is called the sclera. Okay, it's largely made of connective tissue, right? The front third is opaque, right? So that's where the cornea is. Okay, this right here, this is called the lacrimal gland. So the lacrimal gland is always on the lateral aspect. So this would be a right eye. So it creates tears, right, which wave across the eye, and then it drains into. We got a little hole here in the corner of our eye called the punctum. That's where it drains into. We got four eye muscles, right, that hold our eye in place. So we got the superior and inferior rectus, and then the lateral and medial rectus. So this allows us to look up, down, left to right, and then also geostabilizes our eyeball as we're moving. Okay, take it off. In the middle, we've got the choroid layer, right? So you can see a little bit of the blood vessels there. So the middle layer is called the choroid layer. That would be the vascular layer. That's where all the blood vessels is. And then on the interior, we'll see this in the eyeball, is the retina, which is the nervous layer. That's where the actual nerve tissue is. The retina, in the back of the retina, we've got this little spot in the back. You can't really see it real well here, but right here, this would be that macula. So the macula actually has a slight indentation in it. That little indentation is called the fovea centralis. That's the focal point. That's the sweet spot where you find the most, what is it, rods or cones? Cones, right? So that's the high def color vision. Okay. So we've got our iris, right? So the iris is made of that muscle. Again, we all have the same pigment in our eye. Some of us just have more pigment. Some of us have less pigment. So that's what dictates the color. The pupil is just simply the opening, right? So it responds to light. So more light, right? The pupil is less, right? The less light, the pupil dilates to allow more light in. And then we've got the lens, right? So the lens and the cornea work together to bend or refract the light. So hopefully it'll hit the sweet spot here in the center, okay? We've got two chambers. So we've got in front of the lens and behind the cornea, we have the anterior chamber. The anterior chamber is filled with a very watery fluid called aqueous humor. And then here we got represented in the back, would be the vitreous humor. It's thick and jelly-like, okay? So those are the various different structures of the eye. All right, so let's cut this bad boy open. Okay, so here you can see, here's the sclera, and then this is the cornea. This cornea is very opaque because this is dead tissue. If this were living tissue from an actual sheep, you'd be able to see through the cornea quite well, and you'd be able to see the pupil in the iris. So I'm going to make an incision here. Okay, so here you can see in here, so here's the inside of the eye. So you can see here is the retina, right? So you can see the retina is very, very thin. Now, it doesn't look very good here, but so here you can see this kind of iridescent like stuff on the inside of the retina. Can you guys see this stuff right there? Okay. I'll show you guys a better picture of it, or maybe I can dissect another one and maybe we can get some better stuff. You can kind of see it right there too, so that weird pigmented stuff, okay? So that's called the tapetum lucidum. So sheep are mostly nocturnal animals, right? So they come out at night, and that's when they do a lot of their grooming, or a lot of their grazing and all of that. Like all nocturnal animals, they have what's called the tapetum lucidum. So it helps illuminate the inside of the eye and maximizes moonlight so you get better light, right? So you're trying to, like, you take a flash photography picture of your cat, right? What happens?
It glows.
Right? Glows, right? Because cats are evil, right? Right? Or like you shine a flashlight outside and there's a raccoon, right? All you see is two red beady eyes looking at you. All nocturnal animals have that. What it does is it helps give them better night vision. This is why, like, for example, deer, like the literal deer in the headlight looks, right? So it's overwhelming their nervous system, okay? This here is the lens, right? So again, this lens has become opaque because it is degraded. Now, here's the cool thing about these things. These things bounce.
Yep.
So you can actually bounce these things here. Okay?
That's how they make bouncy balls out of.
They used to back in the day, yeah. Back in the early days, yeah. And dentures were actually made from real teeth.
That's gross.
Yeah, from teeth.
Ew, I did not know that.
Human teeth, yeah. So you take the teeth of young cadavers, usually soldiers that died. You'd pull the teeth out, and then you'd make dentures out of them.
I'd rather have no teeth.
Yeah. So for a long time, like they were the most common. They were called. A lot of them were called Waterloo teeth, because a lot of them came from the Battle of Waterloo. Because tens of thousands of young men died on the battlefield, so they plucked out all the teeth and made dentures out of them. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So here you can kind of see the ciliary muscles. Here you can see the iris and the pupil. So if you guys want to take a look at this, you can see. So if you guys want to dissect some eyes, there's some eyes over there. I'll give you guys about 15 minutes to play around with that, and then we'll talk about the ear, and then we will wrap up for today.
What is our quiz on for next week?
Quiz on next week is going to be on the eye and ear anatomy.